Welcome back to this program, the 1 hour with Ali Basa Suryo, and tonight we have Mr. Naresh. Now let's continue what we have discussed before in the latest issue of the President Post. There's a title, Indonesian HR organization must become more strategic. A very interesting subject. Why you come up with that sort of title in this time of the your article here?
You know, Indonesia has the 4th most populous nation. Out of the 240 million people, how many multinationals you have in Indonesia? You look at China, there are tons of Chinese brands, even though they are known for low-cost production all over the world. You look at America, probably highest number of multinationals. We look even in India, we've got hundreds if not thousands. In Indonesia, I looked at Fortune 500, there was only one company, Telecom Indonesia, which was listed at 400 odd position. You know, during my workshops, I've consistently asked the question, how many multinationals do we have? And there are very few, probably single digit we count. Now what's happening is that with the world economy the way it is, and the growth being from Asia, which is primarily China, India and Indonesia, the Western companies primarily out of US and Europe are looking to enter Indonesia. And once the trade barriers are continuing to fall, Indonesian companies don't have much in terms of being able to compete with them. Now, people may think that it's very difficult to work in Indonesia or do business in Indonesia, and as per World Competitive Report, Indonesia ranked 127 out of 170 countries where the ease of business was doing. Singapore was number 1. But despite that, companies, global companies are looking for growth, and they're looking at to enter Indonesia in a much bigger way. And local companies are not ready. The reason they're not ready is because the human resources are not ready to compete globally. So that's why we came up with this book.
Interesting. You know, lately there's been discussion or issues when people talk about strategic. They think it's long term down the road, it's 5 years and beyond, you know. And recently there are subject that comes in with called, I think this is one of your subjects, strategic execution. Is that the definition, right? Now, how do you really turn strategic into an execution phase?
Okay, firstly, let me tell you, strategy has different time phrases for different organizations. At governmental level, you're probably looking at 5 to 10 years, maybe 15 years. But if you're an IT company today or a .com company, you're probably not looking beyond 1 year at a time, because technology is changing so rapidly right now. Take an example of a handphone. How long does a new model last? How long can you sell it profitably? And most people in the industry will tell you that beyond 3 months, the model will have to change. In that kind of industry, you're looking at strategy much narrower, much smaller, probably a year or 2 or 3. Now, using that 3-year time frame, you break it down to quarterly, monthly, or even weekly goals for an organization, and drilled it down from top management down to the supervisory level in terms of weekly goals or monthly goals, and get a feedback loop and continue to change your tactics in order to achieve your strategy.
Yeah, it's interesting what I get from your data here in the newspaper, that the highest importance of HR within an Indonesian organization is to improve productivity performance of the individual organization compared to the others. That's about 27.6% there. Why is it the highest that you'll get here?
It proves the point I've trying to make. Indonesian companies are still looking at very administrative kind of mindset to improve productivity, to improve discipline. I think we have to look at a much higher level challenge, which is how do we create a workforce that is ready to compete globally. It's not about people coming on time. It still is a challenge, I agree. I still see organizations, including some governmental organizations, where people don't come on time or don't come at all. I think that's there, but at the same time, we should not just focus on that. We need to focus, how do we create a world-class organization that can compete as the foreign companies come in we need to look at global markets and go out also with our workforce.
Because you got to be aware that by 2015, it's going to be an ASEAN free trade zone. It's a free market economy. That's another 5-6 years from now, unless Indonesia is ready. There'll be the other way around. People from the region will be coming to Indonesia, open up their workshop, open up their shops. Now, how do you create awareness to Indonesian professional that this is time to wake up and this is time to stand up and get the skill and the tool of the trade for this free market economy?
To a degree, it's already happening. If you look at the content in school, colleges, that content and the material is as good as anywhere else in the world. I think changing the mindset is a challenge.
Mindset.
Now, for youngsters who are coming out of school and colleges these days, they are pretty good. But I think it's the generation that's my generation, people in the middle. That's where the challenge lies. And I think private sector is doing pretty okay. Multinationals are doing very well. I think the challenge will like, how do you, the large governmental workforce, how do you change that mindset? And I think that has to be addressed by other authorities than me. But we can help private sector organizations to do that by creating the individual development plans, by aligning entire HR to strategy with those 6-7 years time horizon.
Interesting. I remember when I first met you, a friend of mine said that Naresh is an icon in the balance scorecard in Indonesia. He was saying, can you briefly explain what balance scorecard is and then how does it apply to your organization?
Balance scorecard is a management system to implement strategy, to measure performance beyond merely financials, and to communicate strategy to various stakeholders, be it shareholders, customers, your suppliers, and employees. Balance scorecard starts with a clear vision and mission, where an organization wants to be in that 1 to 5 year time frame, depending on industry. And taking that strategy, we map the strategy and decide the strategic goals the organization must achieve in that time frame. And these strategic goals must be aligned to each other. For each strategic goal or strategic objective, we must come up with a key performance indicator, which tells how we are going to measure the goal. And this system starts to give us a dashboard, which tells us, are we going in the right direction and at right speed? And by putting those indicators, we put an organization where somebody is responsible for each strategic goal and KPI. And once we have that, we would then move on to putting strategic initiatives, strategic projects to improve. So if somebody has got HR and improving the quality of HR, we'd come with number of KPIs for how to measure the HR performance, putting some targets for each parameter, putting somebody responsible and coming with a series of objectives. And of course, you need to have budgetary resources and people resources to execute it.
That's right.
That's the first step in the process of transformation. Second step is that we will align the entire organization structure to support strategy. And I've always asked people, what comes before, structure or strategy? The answer is very obvious, strategy. But most people focus on structure and try to build strategy around it, which is the wrong way. Because strategy will continue to evolve and it goes faster and faster in future. Third is, how do you align each individual to that strategy? Once you've got the strategy, the balance scorecard, the structure, you need to create individual performance scorecard. So people are measured, motivated, and rewarded on the performance, which is linked to corporate success, competency assessment, training needs, performance grading, coaching, leadership development. And in parallel, all this information is IT enabled, so that you get all this information real time, wireless, on your emails, on your SMSs, so you can get real-time information and do analysis real-time. We don't have those luxury of months when we live in 24/7 world. Yeah, the day starts, in old days I remember we used to get those postal letters. I don't know how many people write letters anymore. We've shifted to telexes to faxes to emails, and today BlackBerry enabled emails and SMSs. So the world's become pretty much real time, and that you can't wait too long to get results.
Okay.
So this whole process helps organizations to transform, and once they do it, it's not the end. They have to continue to go through this loop. So in our lifetime, we'll have to evolve a few times.
Very interesting. Very interesting. That is the end of the second segment. We will coming back after the commercial break. Thank you.